By the way, that whole fight scene came from me talking to Sheldon and Jean-Claude about the early Kumite matches, where they used to take place under a bridge in Chicago. It was the Dante Bridge, and that's where John Keon got the name. I believe got the name Count Dante. You care about me.
Hey guys, if you know this channel, you know I'm in love with Lionheart. As I know a lot of you guys are too, in my opinion, this is the best underground fighting film. There were some good ones, but this is by far the best. So why not do another video on it? I've done various videos talking about the film, talking about the potential sequel, breaking down who all the fighters were in the film, etc. And I even had Sheldon Lettich, writer-director of this amazing film, on the channel talking about it. But now we got another cool guest, Frank Dukes, sharing his experience as the fight choreographer on the film. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, please help support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing the video.
I mean, remember when we did Lionheart? I was I was going to set up for him to do a whole grappling thing for that underground bridge fight.
Who wants to take on the lion? Somebody's got to take on the damn lion. Hey!
Oh, really?
Yeah. My intent was in the beginning was he was going to throw the guy and then put on a submission hold, and the guy was going to break and they were going to grapple.
Okay.
That was my original choreography for that.
Mm.
And I tried teaching him that, but he just couldn't in the time period I had him, he just couldn't get it down to where it looked good on camera.
Okay.
Okay. This is really important. There's a difference between looking good on camera and actually doing it.
Sure.
Okay? So he just wasn't comfortable with it, you know? And so we decided, okay, we're not going to go that way. And so we changed up right there I'll never forget it. Right there, we changed everything up on the set, and with like maybe 5 minutes to work out the choreography. Right there.
I love that fight scene. That's a great fight scene.
But my point is, that was one that was like impromptu. I mean, it was like, okay, we're going to do it this way. I had about maybe 5 minutes to show him all the movements, and the other guy all the movements, right? And then they pulled it together. And that's why I think it was such a good fight scene, because it was so unrehearsed. It's like the one where he fought Satch Williams in the car park. Same thing.
Oh,
Same
you mean
scenario.
Jeff Langton and Satch Williams when they fought?
Yeah.
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 Hey, real quick, Frank, I do want to bring this up.
Yeah.
How much, just to let you know how much I love that fight scene under the bridge, right?
Yeah.
That is literally this scene that I brought with me in film school at CSUN. We went to the same school, funny enough. And that's the one I dissected for my editing class because I loved it so much. So I just wanted to let you know, like, that's how much I like that scene, man.
Yeah. Thank you for that. By the way, that whole fight scene came from me talking to Sheldon and Jean-Claude about the early Kumite matches, where they used to take place under a bridge in Chicago. It was the Dante Bridge, and that's where John Keon got the name. I believe got the name Count Dante, because he ruled that place. Oh. And so everybody used to call him Count Dante.
That's a cool history, you know? Yeah.
And that's where, you know, and it was also sometimes called Dante's Inferno, when you were using code like you're going to hook up and fight there at night. Yeah, we're going to go to Dante's Inferno. Everybody knew what that was if you were in the fight game.
That's funny.
Where to head over and watch a real, bare knuckle martial art match take place between guys,
But real quick, Frank, though, going back to what you were saying about Satch Williams and Jeff Langton. So you guys just choreographed that on the fly too in the parking lot?
I ended up having to do that on the fly in the underground garage. I had something else kind of planned, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And but no, we ended up doing that on the fly. And Satch Williams, God rest his soul. I mean, I ended up having to pay for he didn't have a SAG card, right? He wasn't qualified to do the shot. So I talked to Jim Tarsick to kind of pull me a favor and throw him a couple of credits. And I paid Satch's SAG card.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He got his SAG card because he ended up later coming to work for me when he needed a job.
Yeah, I heard he taught at Duke's Rue School.
Yeah. He ended up working for me because at that time I was really getting sick. At that time, brain tumors were really taking their toll on me.
Hmm.
And so, but I was, fighting through it. And that's where Jean-Claude got sick also in the garage, because we were filming for so long. He had all these fumes there, right? So people were getting carbon monoxide poisoning while we
That's
were
crazy.
shooting.
Why were people so that was just these were
That's why the scene was so fast. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. The fight scene I had worked out in the studio with Satch and Jeff was way longer. Okay.
Let's do lunch sometime.
When we got down there, everybody's getting sick. I'm going, guys, I can't have you exercise more here than this because of the monoxide readings. I go, I don't want anybody getting really sick. So he did a great fight. I mean, if you saw the fight that we had worked out with Satch and Jeff, it was powerful. I mean, it was really, really powerful.
Oh yeah, sure.
And Jeff was a very, very talented. He was so talented in that time. I'm surprised he didn't break through himself and end up with his own, becoming a star per se. But what was real interesting is that the two of them were going to fight. Jean-Claude and Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Jean-Claude did not want to fight Jeff.
It's time to find out how bad you want to get to LA, my man.
He didn't even want him in the movie.
Really?
Because prior to that, when I trained Jean-Claude,
mm-hmm.
Jeff was a student of mine, and he also taught at my school. They had a bump in with each other in the locker room, and they were about to bust out and fight each other.
Really? Do you know what though? Like why?
I don't even know what the argument was over. I personally don't know. All I know is I had to get in between the two guys, and it would have been bloody. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so here it is years later, and I'm bringing Jack Langton around, and he's like, Jean-Claude was not happy with it. Well, make it. I want to be out of here. Make it, whatever. And that's why I turned around and said, okay, Jeff, I'm going to give you the most memorable scene in this movie. I said, but you're going to have to work with me on it. He says, well, what do you want to do? He says, I want it to be a one punch wonder. And then we sat down, and then we started saying, well, maybe we should come up with a really good line, for this to happen for you. And then we sat down, and then we both came up with the line, goes, hey, you're kind of pretty. I don't know if I want to fight you.
Well, fuck you. Ooh, Sonny.
Yeah.
All right.
Dude, everybody remembers that. I still remember that the first time I seen that in the 90s.
Yeah. But at the very beginning, you asked Jeff, I told him, please come do this movie with me. I promise you, you'll be the most remembered guy in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I promise you will.
That's funny.
And when they said one punch, he thought I was out of he thought Jeff was like a little bit like, what? And then when I told him what the line was and how we're going to do it, he goes, okay. And that's when Jean-Claude, does a thing. He grabs the guy's leg, he punches him. He got what he wanted. One punch, he's out of there. You understand? And Jeff got what he wanted, which was to be, be memorialized in all of this. So it worked out really nice. It's one of those fun stories, Everybody went home and with a huge headache that day, because of the carbon monoxide in that underground parking.
Going back to that real quick, did they not close off the garage? So were people just driving their cars and parking and leave? Really?
Well, they closed off the back section of one of the floors of the parking garage, and I think we were closer to the bottom, or top. I forgot which way it was. I just don't remember. I'm sorry.
No,
but I just remember that we'd have that. Sometimes we'd have to end because of the you hear tires squeaking, but it was fight.
That's funny. They didn't shut down the garage. I mean, I guess because it's not like the biggest budget movie, they probably couldn't even afford to, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how that works.
I don't know if people realize, but one of the most powerful producers, or who became one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood,
the Weasley guy that Van Damme called out, the Weasley guy.
Right?
I can fucking kick this guy's ass. See this shit, man?
I know, baby.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's hilarious. He's Quentin Tarantino's producer.
Right. He's the one who Jean-Claude grabs, right?
Right now, you and me.
That's hilarious.
Tracy Shakespeare was a good friend of mine. She's the one, and I put her in there because she had the big breasts, and I made sure they had blood spray on her breast. It was one of those
Oh, that was so you knew the blonde that was dating that
Yeah,
Weasley dude. You knew
that
you
was
knew her.
choreographed into it.
That was who?
That was part of the choreography.
Oh,
That
that
was
no, that's such it's so memorable, man. Like there's so many moments, and again, that's why we talk about this movie and
yeah.
remember it so much. There's so many like little moments like that that is just like, it's just burned in your brain. People who
Yeah.
watched it.
Yeah, and that comes from having those fights. Remember, I told you fighting those kind of fights. It's those little details that unless you're there, you wouldn't know. Think of them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You say, "Oh yeah, I remember I hit this guy, and he bled all over this poor girl. Who ruined her dress. You understand what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's the kind of things that make things really interesting. In my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sheldon allowed me to do the casting for Lionheart. It was all done in my studio.
Yeah, there were like 1,000 people there auditioning. Well, I don't know if that's exaggerated, but like a lot of people basically.
Sure, big names came in.
A
Some big
lot,
names came in them away.
like who?
Big martial arts names, huh? I don't
Some
want to. I don't want to say just there's a lot of well-known masters but they just weren't right for nothing against them. They appear in other movies, a lot of them, but they just weren't right for what I wanted to do for that film as a choreographer.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Of all these great martial artists, I mean, you ended up using like Billy Blanks and Jeff Langton and a lot of people basically. I did a whole video breaking down all the fighters from Lionheart and giving a little bit of their history. How did you decide? Like, how'd you decide who to use, man? Because obviously you had a lot of really skilled martial artists that wanted to be in it.
Well, I had the advantage of the fact that the film, the way it was written, was really kind of taken off of the way I originally wrote Bloodsport. Remember the very first sequence, those individual fights.
Sure.
And the environment was going to be more of the variable, like, fighting on an ice rink, fighting in a racquetball court, which became the racquetball court because Jean-Claude didn't want to do the ice rink fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Fighting with cars all the way around you, right? With all the cars around you, in a warehouse, fighting in a swimming pool, all these different things that I had done actually.
Those are cool venues, yeah.
Yeah, and because of that, I knew it was going to be different than Bloodsport, so I had a whole different idea of, okay, like I knew I wanted somebody really long and lean and really knew how to use his legs, and that's why I picked Paco Prieto for fighting Jean-Claude in the
the swimming pool fight.
Okay, and Paco, by the way, and this is why I really pissed at Sheldon. Paco was Mexico's Kumite champion. What's he saying that there's no evidence Kumite? Paco sat down with me and him. So, oh yeah, man, I watched Frank fight. Oh yeah, man.
Paco actually seen you fighting in Mexico?
Yeah, he's seen me fighting, man. He not only that, we almost ended up fighting each other. He told Sheldon that over dinner, many times over dinner when we were filming the movie. So yeah, that's bullshit. Yorgo Oganowski, who's a Yugoslav movie star, karateka. I remember Yugo came out in my defense and actually gave a written declaration or penalty of perjury saying, no, I fought Frank Dukes at the Kumite. I came from all the way from Yugoslavia. So there are witnesses there. This is my point. People are being lied to that this doesn't exist.
For a lot more information on the real Kumite, make sure to check out our previous video. I'll post a link in the description below. Frank will give some interesting insight into that whole world.